Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Starbound watching the stars through the main screen when the first alien ship appeared above Earth. The massive vessel was dark metal with sharp edges that caught the sunlight like a knife blade. Jake had been exploring space for 12 years, but he had never seen anything like this ship before. The communication officer turned to Jake with wide eyes. "Captain, we are getting signals from Earth Defense Command. They want all ships to return? Home right now." Jake felt his stomach drop. The Starbound was 3 days away from Earth at full speed. He looked at the alien ship again and saw more ships appearing around it. Each one was bigger than any human ship ever built. The alien fleet grew larger every minute as more vessels came out of nowhere. Dr. Lisa Carter ran onto the bridge holding her tablet computer. She was the best scientist on the ship, and Jake trusted her completely. "Captain, I have been trying to talk to them, but they will not answer our messages. Their ships use technology we do not understand." The main screen changed to show Admiral Rick Hayes from Earth Defense Command. His face was serious and scared. "All human vessels, listen carefully. We are under attack by an alien force. They call themselves the Kethver Collective. They have not responded to any peace offers. All ships must defend Earth now." Jake watched in horror as the alien ships began to fire on Earth. Bright beams of energy struck the orbital defense stations that protected the planet. The stations had taken humanity 50 years to build, but they exploded like soap bubbles under the alien weapons. Human defense ships rushed to fight back, but their weapons barely scratched the alien hulls. The Starbound shook as Jake pushed the engines to maximum speed. His crew worked frantically to reach Earth in time to help, but Jake knew in his heart they would be too late. The alien ships were destroying everything humanity had built in space within hours. Dr. Carter stood beside Jake watching the battle. "Their weapons are centuries ahead of ours, Captain. Our shields cannot stop their energy beams. Our missiles cannot break through their armor. We are fighting with stone tools against laser guns." On Earth, the alien ships began bombing the cities. New York disappeared under a cloud of fire and smoke. London vanished in a flash of light. Tokyo was gone before the news could spread. 6 billion people lived on Earth, and the aliens were killing them all without mercy. "Commander," Amy Walsh called from the Luna Research Station. Her voice was breaking with fear. "Captain Morrison, the aliens are coming here too. We are loading everyone onto escape ships, but there are not enough ships for everyone. The aliens are hunting down every human they can find." Jake felt tears on his face as he watched his home planet die. The blue oceans were turning green under some kind of alien poison. The white clouds became thick and black. Earth was becoming a dead world right before his eyes. The alien ships moved like sharks through space-hunting human vessels. Every defense ship that tried to fight was destroyed in seconds. The great space stations that had been humanity's pride were broken apart and left floating as debris. Nothing could stop the alien attack. Dr. Carter worked on her computer trying to understand the alien technology. "Captain, they are not just destroying us. They are changing Earth into something else. The atmosphere is becoming toxic to human life. They are making the planet suitable for their own species." Admiral Hayes appeared on screen one last time. His command center was burning behind him. "All human ships retreat to the outer colonies. Earth is lost. Save as many people as you can. Tell them what happened here. Tell them we fought until the end." The screen went dark as the alien ships destroyed Earth Defense Command. Jake stood in silence watching the planet where humanity began become an alien world. The green poison spread. Across all the continents, the cities were gone. The forests were dying. Everything that made Earth beautiful was being destroyed. "Commander," Walsh managed to escape Luna with 300 survivors, but thousands more were left behind. The alien hunters found them and killed them all. Jake received messages from other human colonies as the aliens attacked them too. Mars fell in 6 hours. The Jupiter stations were destroyed before they could send a distress call. Jake looked at his crew and saw his own grief reflected in their faces. They had lost everything. In 3 days, their homes were gone. Their families were dead. Earth itself no longer existed as a place where humans could live. The Starbound joined other surviving ships fleeing toward the edge of human space. Behind them, Earth burned under alien weapons while strange new plants began growing in the poisoned soil the HFY had won completely. Humanity was scattered and broken, but Jake made a promise as he watched his homeworld disappear. Someday humans would return. Someday they would make the aliens pay for what they had done. 5 years had passed since Earth died, and the humans who survived were living like ghosts in the dark spaces between stars. General Ben Cross walked through the tunnels of Haven, an asteroid that had become home to 50,000 refugees. The rocky walls were covered with pictures of Earth from before the attack. Children who had never seen a blue sky looked at these images and tried to understand what they had lost. Haven was hidden in an asteroid belt, where the HFY ships rarely came. The humans had carved out living spaces inside the rock and built factories to make tools and weapons. Air recyclers hummed constantly to keep the atmosphere breathable. Food came from mushroom farms and protein vats that tasted like nothing but kept people alive. Dr. Elena Ross worked in a laboratory deep inside the asteroid studying pieces of HFY technology. She had been a professor at MIT before the war, but now she spent her days taking apart alien weapons and computers. The HFY were so sure humans were primitive that they often left their broken equipment behind after battles. "General Cross? You need to see this," Dr. Ross called as Ben entered her lab. She held up a small device that glowed with blue light. "This is a HFY communication unit. I think I understand how it works now." They do not talk like we do. Their thoughts connect directly to each other through some kind of biological network. Ben looked at the device carefully. "Can we use this against them?" "Maybe, if we can disrupt their network. They might become confused and make mistakes. But I need more samples to be sure." Dr. Ross set the device down and picked up another piece of alien technology. "There is something else, General. The HFY have a weakness. Their bodies cannot handle certain types of radiation that are harmless to humans." Meanwhile, Tony Blake was preparing for another scavenging mission. He was only 25 years old, but he had become one of the best pilots in the human fleet. His ship looked like a piece of space junk, but it could outrun any HFY patrol vessel. Tony led teams to abandoned human colonies to search for supplies and survivors. "We got a signal from the Proxima station," Tony told his crew as they loaded equipment onto their ship. "The message is 3 weeks old, but someone might still be alive there. We leave in 1 hour." The journey to Proxima took 4 days through routes that avoided HFY patrol areas. When they arrived, Tony saw that the station was badly damaged, but not completely destroyed. His team searched through the wreckage and found 12 survivors, hiding in a sealed section. They had been eating emergency rations and drinking recycled water for months. One of the survivors was an old man named Dr. Carl Weber, who had worked on alien studies before the war. "They took some of us alive," he whispered to Tony. "The HFY captured hundreds of people from this station. They put them on ships and took them away. I heard the aliens talking about experiments." This news hit Tony like a punch to the stomach. He had assumed all the missing humans were dead, but now he realized many might still be alive in alien prison camps. He immediately sent a message back to Haven reporting what he had learned. Captain Maya Stone received Tony's message while she was meeting with survivors from other refugee groups. Maya had been building a network of human settlements scattered across dozens of star systems. Each group had only a few hundred or thousand people, but together they represented what remained of humanity. "If they are keeping humans alive, then we have to find them," Maya told the other captains. "We cannot leave our people in alien hands. But we need to be smart about rescue missions. The HFY are expecting us to be desperate and make mistakes." Maya's network had discovered that the aliens controlled over 200 star systems and had destroyed at least 50 different species. The HFY saw themselves as the rulers of the galaxy. Any species that could not serve them was eliminated. Those that could be useful were enslaved. Back on Haven, General Cross was planning the future of human resistance. The scattered survivors were starting to work together again. Engineers were building new ships from salvaged parts. Scientists were developing weapons based on captured alien technology. Former soldiers were training civilians to fight. Dr. Ross made another important discovery when she examined Kethver biological samples. General, their bodies are incredibly efficient but also very specialized. They have been bred for specific tasks over thousands of years. The warriors cannot think creatively, the scientists cannot fight. If we can confuse their roles, we might gain an advantage. Tony returned from another mission with news that changed everything. He had found evidence that the Kethver were strip mining entire planets for resources. They were building something huge in the center of their territory, but none of the human spies could get close enough to see what it was. Whatever they are building, it requires materials from hundreds of worlds, Tony reported to the Leadership Council. They are working faster now, like they have a deadline. Maybe they are preparing for war with someone else. Maya Stone had her own theory about alien activities. I think they are expanding toward the galactic core. Our intelligence reports show Kethver fleets moving in that direction. If there are other powerful species in the core regions, the aliens might be preparing to fight them. General Cross stood before a map showing all known human settlements. Red dots marked the locations where people were hiding. Blue lines showed communication routes between groups. Yellow areas indicated Kethver patrol zones that had to be avoided. We are not just survivors anymore, Ben told his staff. We are becoming something new. The Kethver think they destroyed humanity, but they only scattered us. Now we are learning to live in the shadows. We are studying their weaknesses. We are preparing for the day when we strike back. The general walked to a window that looked out into space through the asteroid's rocky surface. Somewhere out there, Earth was still spinning around the sun, but it was no longer a human world. Somewhere else, human prisoners were suffering in alien camps. The Kethver thought the war was over, but they were wrong. Humanity was just getting started. Colonel Sam Turner checked his weapons one last time as his strike team prepared to attack the Kethver mining operation on Kepler 442b. 7 years had passed since Earth fell, and this would be the first time humans fought back with real force. Sam's ship was equipped with new technology that Dr. Ross had developed from captured alien equipment. Human weapons now fired energy beams that could punch through Kethver armor. The mining facility sat on the surface of a dead planet where the aliens were digging out rare metals. 300 Kethver workers operated massive machines that carved deep holes in the ground. The aliens had built the facility quickly and carelessly because they never expected anyone to attack them. "Remember the plan," Sam told his team over the radio. "We hit fast and hard, then get out before their reinforcements arrive. Our goal is to destroy their equipment and kill as many aliens as possible. Show them that humans are not extinct." Sam's strike force included 20 ships and 200 fighters. Most of the ships were converted cargo vessels that looked harmless but carried powerful weapons hidden inside their hulls. The fighters were volunteers who had lost everything to the Kethver and wanted revenge. Captain Minya Clark commanded the ship Retribution and led the first wave of attacks. Her vessel appeared to be a damaged freighter drifting in space, but when the Kethver patrol ships came to investigate, she unleashed a barrage of missiles that destroyed them instantly. The aliens had never seen humans use deception in battle before. The attack began at dawn on the planet's surface. Human fighters dropped from orbit in small pods that scattered across the mining site. The Kethver guards were caught completely by surprise. They had been told that humans were primitive creatures who could barely use simple tools. Now those same humans were using advanced weapons to kill alien soldiers. Sam led his team toward the main control center while other groups attacked the mining equipment. The Kethver tried to fight back, but their weapons were designed for large battles against other alien armies. They could not adapt quickly to the close-range fighting that humans preferred. Lieutenant Commander Alex Reed discovered something important during the battle. When he used Dr. Ross's new neural disruptor weapon on a group of Kethver soldiers, they all collapsed at the same time. The aliens were connected to each other through their biological communication network and disrupting. One of them affected the others nearby. "Colonel Turner, I found their weakness," Alex reported over the radio. "Their hive mind is also their greatest vulnerability. If we can jam their neural connections, they become helpless." Sam smiled as he planted explosives in the alien control center. This information would change everything about how humans fought the Kethver. The aliens' greatest strength could be turned against them with the right weapons and tactics. The battle lasted 3 hours, and when it was over, the mining facility was completely destroyed. Broken alien machines lay scattered across the planet. Surface: over 200 Kethver workers and soldiers were dead. The humans had lost only 12 fighters and no ships, but Sam knew the real battle was just beginning. Kethver reinforcements were already on their way from the nearest military base. A full battle group with heavy weapons and experienced warriors was coming to hunt down the human attackers. Captain Clark's ships used every trick that human military history had taught them. They split into small groups and fled in different directions. Some ships hid in asteroid fields while others used the planet's magnetic field to mask their energy signatures. The aliens had sophisticated sensors, but they could not track targets that behaved unpredictably. The Kethver battle group arrived expecting to find human ships flying in neat formations like their own fleets. Instead, they found nothing but empty space and scattered debris. The alien commander was confused because his species always fought in organized patterns. The idea that enemies might use chaos as a weapon was completely foreign to him. Sam's team hid on the dark side of a small moon while the alien ships searched for them. Through their sensors, they watched the Kethver vessels moving in precise geometric formations. The aliens checked every possible hiding spot in a logical sequence, but they missed several locations because human thinking was not logical. Dr. Ross had been right about Kethver psychology. The aliens were incredibly intelligent, but they could only think in certain ways. Their minds were like powerful computers that could solve complex problems but could not handle random or irrational behavior. After 6 hours of searching, the alien fleet gave up and returned to their base. The Kethver commander reported that the human attackers had been destroyed even though he had found no wreckage or bodies. This was easier for him to believe than admitting that primitive humans had outsmarted his advanced forces. The news of the successful attack spread quickly through the human refugee network. For the first time since Earth fell, people began to hope that they might survive and even win against the aliens. Young volunteers lined up to join the resistance forces. Engineers worked harder to build better weapons. Scientists pushed themselves to understand more alien technology. But the attack on Kepler 442b had consequences that no one expected. The Kethver leadership realized that humans were more dangerous than they had believed. Emergency meetings were called on the alien homeworld. New military units were formed specifically to hunt down human survivors. General Cross received intelligence reports about increased Kethver activity throughout their territory. The aliens were reinforcing their bases and increasing patrols in areas where humans might be hiding. The successful attack had gotten their attention, and now they would be much harder to surprise. "We have shown them that we can hurt them," Ben told his staff during a strategy meeting. "But now they will be looking for us everywhere." The easy victories are over. From now on, every battle will be harder and more dangerous. Sam Turner was promoted to general for leading the successful attack, but he felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. The strike on Kepler 442b had been a symbol of hope for humanity, but it had also started a new phase of the war. The aliens would not underestimate humans again. As Sam looked out at the stars from Haven's observation deck, he knew that the real fighting was just beginning. The first strike had been a success, but it was only the opening move in a much larger game. Humanity had announced to the galaxy that they were still alive and still fighting. Now they had to prove they could win. Major Kate Phillips stood outside the Kethver prison camp, watching through electronic binoculars as human prisoners worked under alien guard. The camp was built on a frozen moon where the temperature never rose above -40 degrees. Hundreds of humans dressed in thin clothing moved between buildings. Carrying heavy equipment for their captors, Kate had been planning this rescue mission for 3 months. Intelligence reports showed that over 2,000 humans were held in camps like this one across Kethver territory. Most were being used as slave labor while others were kept for medical experiments. The aliens studied human biology to understand why humans could adapt and create new solutions to problems. Major, we have identified the guard rotation schedule, reported Sergeant Jim Davis, who had been watching the camp for 2 weeks. They change guards every 8 hours, and there is a 15-minute gap when the new guards are still getting briefed. That is our window. Kate's rescue team included 40 volunteers who had trained for months in stealth tactics and close combat fighting. They carried weapons designed to be silent and non-lethal when possible. The goal was to free the prisoners. Without alerting other Kethver forces in the system, Dr. Paul Green had once been a children's doctor, but now he specialized in treating humans who had survived alien captivity. Paul had seen the medical reports from previous rescue missions and knew what to expect. The Kethver conducted experiments on human prisoners to study their nervous systems and psychological responses to stress. The prisoners will be weak and possibly injured, Paul told the rescue team. Some may not trust us at first because the aliens sometimes use fake rescue attempts to test prisoner reactions. We need to be patient and gentle with them. The rescue began at midnight local time when Kethver activity was at its lowest. Kate's team approached the camp using personal cloaking devices that bent light around their bodies. The technology was based on alien equipment but improved by human engineers who understood stealth better than the Kethver. Lieutenant Mike Foster led a team to disable the camp's communication array while Kate's group moved toward the prisoner barracks. The aliens had built the camp cheaply because they never expected it to be attacked. The walls were thin metal sheets and the locks were simple electronic devices. Inside the first barracks, Kate found 30 human prisoners sleeping on bare metal bunks. Most were thin and sick from poor food and medical neglect. When she woke them quietly, several people began to cry with relief. They had given up hope of ever seeing other humans again. "We are here to take you home," Kate whispered to an old woman who stared at her with wide eyes. "Can you walk? We need to move quickly and quietly." The old woman nodded and helped wake the other prisoners. Word spread silently through the barracks that rescuers had come. People gathered their few possessions and prepared to leave the place where they had suffered for years, but the rescue became complicated when Kate's team found the medical facility where the Kethver conducted their experiments. Dr. Green entered the building and found humans in various stages of psychological and physical testing. Some prisoners had been given drugs that affected their memory. Others had surgical implants that monitored their brain activity. Major Phillips. "We have a problem," Paul reported over the radio. "There are 50 prisoners here, but many are too sick or injured to walk. We cannot carry them all, and we cannot leave them behind." Kate made a decision that would haunt her for years. She ordered her team to focus on rescuing the prisoners who could walk and fight. The others would have to wait for a future mission. It was a cruel choice, but the alternative was to risk everyone's lives and probably save no one. The evacuation took longer than planned, because many prisoners were weak and moved slowly. Some had been in captivity for years and their muscles had wasted away from poor nutrition and lack of exercise. The rescue team had to help carry people who could barely stand. Engineer Sarah Kim had developed new escape vehicles for rescue missions. Her ships looked like Kethver cargo transports from the outside, but were actually fast human vessels with hidden weapons and shields. The disguise allowed rescue teams to move freely through alien-controlled space. As the prisoners were loaded onto the escape ships, Kate received disturbing intelligence from the freed captives. They reported that the Kethver were building something massive in the center of their territory. Thousands of human prisoners were being transported there to work on the mysterious project. "They called it the Great Engine," one prisoner told Kate. "The aliens said it would let them control entire star systems at once. They need humans to work on it because our minds think differently than theirs. We can solve problems that their computers cannot handle." This information was immediately transmitted back to General Cross and the Resistance leadership. If the Kethver were building some kind of superweapon, then humanity was in even greater danger than they had realized. The rescue missions were not just about saving lives anymore, but also about gathering intelligence. The escape from the prison camp was successful, but not perfect. Kate's team rescued 400 prisoners but had to leave behind 50 who were too sick to travel. The Kethver discovered the rescue 6 hours later and began hunting for the human ships throughout the system. Sarah Kim's disguised vessels fooled the alien patrols for 2 days before reaching the safety of human space. The rescued prisoners were taken to Haven, where they received medical treatment and psychological counseling. Many had nightmares about their captivity and found it hard to believe they were really free. Dr. Green worked around the clock treating prisoners who had been tortured and experimented on by their captors. He discovered that the Kethver had been studying human creativity and problem-solving abilities. The aliens wanted to understand why humans could develop new technologies and tactics so quickly. "They are afraid of us," Paul told Kate after examining the medical records. "The experiments show that they know humans are different from other species they have conquered. We adapt and innovate in ways that threaten their empire." The Underground Railroad grew rapidly as more humans learned about the rescue missions. Volunteers came forward to help with intelligence gathering, shipbuilding, and medical support. The network became a symbol of hope for prisoners who thought they had been forgotten. Captain Maya Stone coordinated rescue operations across multiple star systems while keeping the network hidden from Kethver intelligence. Each successful mission provided valuable information about alien facilities and weaknesses. The prisoners who were freed often became valuable members of the Resistance, but the rescue missions also revealed the true scope of Kethver cruelty. Kate's teams found evidence of experiments that had killed thousands of humans. Children had been separated from their parents and used for psychological studies. Entire families had been broken apart to test human emotional responses. Kate stood in Haven's Memorial Hall looking at pictures of the people her teams had not been able to save. Each rescue mission was a victory, but also a reminder of how much humanity had lost. The Underground Railroad could save some prisoners, but millions of humans were still dead and could never be brought back. The rescued prisoners brought more than just intelligence about alien activities. They brought stories of human endurance and courage under impossible conditions. People had kept their sanity and humanity despite years of abuse. They had helped each other survive and maintained hope. Even in the darkest moments, these stories spread throughout the Resistance network and inspired more people to join the fight against the Kethver. The Underground Railroad became proof that humans would never abandon each other no matter how difficult the rescue might be. Commander Jake Foster received the alien transmission while his ship was hiding in the shadow of a gas giant. The message came from a species called the Zilani, who had been watching human resistance activities for months. Their communication was different from anything humans had heard before because it included mathematical equations along with words. "Human warriors, we wish to speak with your leaders," the message said. "We have observed your battles against the Kethver oppressors. Our people have suffered under their rule for 200 years. Perhaps we can help each other achieve freedom." Jake immediately contacted General Cross to report the first alien contact since the war began. The idea that other species might want to ally with humans was exciting, but also dangerous. The Kethver could be using other aliens to trick the human resistance into revealing their locations. Dr. Lisa Martinez had become humanity's expert on alien psychology after studying captured Kethver prisoners. She was chosen to make first contact with the Zilani because she understood how different species might think and communicate. Lisa prepared for months by learning everything humans knew about galactic civilizations. The meeting took place on a neutral asteroid where both sides could approach safely. Lisa arrived with a small escort while the Zilani sent a single ship that looked like it was made from living crystal. When the alien representatives appeared, they were tall, thin creatures with 4 arms and skin that changed colors with their emotions. "We are pleased to meet humans who fight with such courage," said the Zelani leader, whose name sounded like music when spoken. Your species uses tactics we have never seen before. You fight without honor or logic, and this confuses the Kethver greatly. Lisa realized the alien meant this as a compliment even though it sounded like an insult. We fight to survive and protect our people. Honor means nothing if your species goes extinct. We use whatever methods work against our enemies. The Zelani explained that they had been enslaved by the Kethver for centuries and forced to work as scientists and engineers. Their homeworld had been conquered when they tried to resist with traditional military tactics. The Kethver had easily defeated their organized armies and enslaved the survivors. We are good at building things but bad at fighting, the Zelani admitted. Our people prefer to solve problems through logic and mathematics, but the Kethver cannot be reasoned with. They only understand force, and we have learned this too late. Lisa saw an opportunity for both species to benefit from cooperation. Humans are good at fighting, but we need better technology. If you help us build weapons and ships, we can help you fight for your freedom. Together we might be strong enough to challenge the Kethver Empire. The alliance talks continued for weeks as both sides learned to trust each other. The Zelani had advanced knowledge of physics and engineering that could improve human weapons significantly. Humans had tactical skills and unpredictable thinking that could help other species fight more effectively, but the humans and Zelani were not the only species interested in rebellion. Commander Rob Chun made contact with the Thrakari warrior clans whose homeworld had been conquered 50 years earlier. The Thrakari were fierce fighters who had continued guerrilla warfare against the Kethver for decades. The Thrakari looked like large reptiles with natural armor and claws that could cut through metal. They were impressed by human combat tactics, because humans fought with the same ruthless determination that Thrakari respected. Unlike the peaceful Zelani, the Thrakari understood that freedom had to be won through blood. Your species fights like true warriors, growled the Thrakari war chief, whose scars showed decades of battle experience. You do not surrender when the odds are against you. You do not seek mercy from enemies who show none. We will fight beside you against the oppressors. Dr. Martinez worked to build trust between species that had very different cultures and ways of thinking. The Zelani valued knowledge and cooperation, while the Thrakari respected strength and individual combat skills. Humans fell somewhere between these extremes and could communicate with both groups. The Galactic Liberation Alliance was formally created during a secret meeting on Haven Asteroid. Representatives from 12 different species signed agreements to work together against Kethver oppression. Each species brought unique abilities that could contribute to the war effort. General Cross was chosen as the Alliance's military commander because humans had shown the most success in fighting the Kethver. This decision surprised many aliens, who expected the oldest or most advanced species to lead. But practical results mattered more than tradition when survival was at stake. The first joint operation was an attack on a Kethver supply depot that provided resources to 3 star systems. Captain Rob Chun commanded a mixed fleet of human ships with Zelani technology upgrades and Thrakari boarding parties. The combination of different species' abilities proved devastatingly effective. Human pilots used unpredictable flight patterns that confused Kethver targeting systems. Zelani energy weapons punched through alien shields that had previously been impenetrable. Thrakari warriors boarded enemy ships and fought with savage fury that terrified the normally confident Kethver soldiers. The battle showed that the Alliance could achieve victories that no single species could win alone. Human creativity combined with alien technology and different fighting styles created new tactical possibilities. The Kethver had never faced such diverse opposition before, but success brought new challenges as Alliance leaders struggled to coordinate military operations between species with different languages and cultures. Communication delays and misunderstandings led to mistakes during battles. Some species preferred direct attacks while others wanted to use stealth and deception. Dr. Martinez became the Alliance's diplomatic coordinator and worked to solve these problems. She developed translation protocols, that could handle the mathematical concepts important to the Zelani and the honor-based language of the Thrakari. Cultural exchange programs help different species understand each other better. The Alliance also discovered that the galaxy contained hundreds of species that had been conquered or destroyed by the Kethver over thousands of years. Each new member brought additional resources and knowledge to the rebellion. Former Kethver slaves provided intelligence about enemy weaknesses and facility locations. As the Alliance grew stronger, the Kethver leadership began to take the rebellion seriously. For the first time in centuries, emergency sessions were called on their homeworld to discuss how to handle the unprecedented threat. Some Kethver leaders wanted to negotiate, while others demanded complete extermination of all rebel species. This internal conflict created opportunities for Alliance intelligence agents to gather information about Kethver political divisions. Not all aliens supported their government's policies of conquest and slavery. Some Kethver were willing to provide information to the rebels in exchange for protection. The Alliance established hidden bases throughout the galaxy where different species could work together on developing new weapons and strategies. Zelani scientists worked with human engineers to create hybrid technologies. Thrakari warriors trained human soldiers in close combat techniques. Jake Foster found himself commanding a mixed crew of humans and aliens who had learned to work together despite their differences. His ship carried Zelani computers that could calculate complex battle tactics and Thrakari weapons that could cut through any armor. The crew had become a symbol of what the Alliance could achieve. The rebellion was no longer just about human survival, but about creating a new type of galactic civilization based on cooperation instead of conquest. The Alliance offered hope to species throughout the galaxy that they could live freely without fear of Kethver oppression. General Cross stood before a holographic map showing Alliance territory that now included over 50 star systems. Raid areas marked Kethver strongholds, while blue zones showed rebel-controlled space. Green dots indicated neutral systems that might join the Alliance if the rebellion continued to succeed. The war was far from over, but humanity was no longer fighting alone. Admiral Amy Walsh stood on the bridge of the battleship New Terra, watching the Kethver homeworld grow larger on the main screen. 10 years had passed since Earth fell, and now humanity was leading the largest military force in galactic history toward the alien capital. The Galactic Liberation Alliance fleet included ships from 60 different species, all united in their desire for freedom. The journey to the Kethver homeworld had taken 3 months of careful planning and coordination. Alliance forces had fought their way through 12 defended star systems to reach this moment. Each battle had been won through the combination of human tactics, alien technology, and the desperate courage of beings who had nothing left to lose. Captain Tony Blake commanded the engineering ship Vengeance, which carried the most advanced weapons ever built by the Alliance. His vessel looked like a massive cargo hauler, but it carried planet-cracking devices designed by Dr. Elena Ross and her team of multi-species scientists. The weapons could shatter a world's crust and destroy entire continents. Admiral Walsh, we are receiving surrender offers from 3 Kethver orbital stations, reported the communications officer. They claim they were forced to serve the Empire against their will and want to join our cause. Amy considered the offers carefully, but decided to reject them. The Alliance had learned through bitter experience that Kethver surrender attempts were usually traps designed to get rebel ships close enough for devastating attacks. Trust was something that had to be earned through actions over many years. The Kethver homeworld was protected by massive defense platforms that could destroy entire fleets with their energy weapons. But Dr. Ross had developed specialized bioweapons that targeted the aliens' neural networks. When released into the atmosphere, these weapons would disrupt the hive mind connections that allowed Kethver society to function. General Ben Cross led the ground assault force that would land on the planet's surface after the orbital defenses were neutralized. His army included human marines, Thrakari warriors, and soldiers from dozens of other species. Each unit had trained for months to work together despite their different fighting styles and physical abilities. The battle began when Alliance ships dropped out of hyperspace around the Kethver homeworld. The alien defense fleet was waiting for them with over 2,000 warships arranged in perfect geometric formations. The Kethver commander was confident that superior numbers and firepower would crush the rebel attack, but the Alliance fleet did not fight like a traditional military force. Human captains led their ships in chaotic patterns that seemed random but were actually carefully planned. Zilani computers calculated probability matrices, while Thrakari boarding parties prepared for close combat. The combination of different tactical approaches confused the organized Kethver response. Captain Rob Chun commanded a squadron of fast attack ships that darted between the massive alien battleships like insects around giants. His vessels carried fusion bombs that could disable enemy engines and weapon systems. The Kethver tried to swat these small ships, but their heavy weapons were too slow to track such agile targets. Dr. Ross watched from the new Terra as her bioweapons were deployed throughout the Kethver atmosphere. The airborne agents were designed to break down the chemical compounds that allowed the aliens to share thoughts and coordinate their actions. Within hours, the effects began to show as Kethver military units lost their ability to work together effectively. The alien ground forces became increasingly disorganized. As their neural networks failed, soldiers wandered aimlessly without orders from their commanders. Defense batteries fired at random targets, including their own ships. The perfect coordination that had made the Kethver Empire invincible was collapsing under the assault of human-designed weapons. General Cross landed his forces on the main continent while the orbital battle continued overhead. The Kethver cities were built like massive hives with interconnected towers that stretched into the clouds. Each building housed millions of aliens who lived and worked in perfect harmony until the bioweapons disrupted their mental connections. The ground fighting was brutal but brief as Alliance forces overwhelmed confused and disorganized defenders. Thrakari warriors led the assault on government buildings, while human engineers destroyed the communication networks that held Kethver society together. The aliens had never learned to fight as individuals and could not adapt to the chaos. Jake Morrison found himself leading a mixed unit of humans and aliens through the streets of the Kethver capital city. The buildings around them were burning as Alliance forces systematically destroyed the infrastructure of the Empire that had oppressed the galaxy for thousands of years. But Jake felt no joy in the destruction, only grim satisfaction that justice was finally being served. The Kethver leadership tried to escape in their personal ships, but Alliance forces had surrounded the planet completely. Every vessel that tried to leave was intercepted and destroyed. The aliens who had shown no mercy to their victims would receive none in return. Admiral Walsh received the final surrender signal from the remaining Kethver military commanders. The alien empire that had seemed invincible was defeated by the species they had dismissed as primitive. The victory belonged not just to humanity but to every enslaved race that had joined the rebellion. But the war's end brought new challenges as Alliance leaders faced the question of what to do with their defeated enemies. Some species wanted complete extermination of all Kethver, while others preferred imprisonment or exile. The debate showed that building peace was harder than winning war. Dr. Martinez worked with other diplomats to establish war crimes tribunals that would judge Kethver leaders for their actions against other species. The trials would be fair and follow legal procedures, unlike the arbitrary executions that had characterized the alien empire. The Alliance wanted to prove they were better than their former oppressors. The process of rebuilding began immediately. As Alliance forces took control of former Kethver territories, enslaved populations were freed and given medical treatment. Destroyed worlds were surveyed for restoration projects. The massive resources of the Empire were redistributed to help species recover from centuries of oppression. Jake Foster led the first human expedition back to Earth to assess the damage done by 10 years of alien occupation. The planet was still poisoned, but Alliance scientists believed it could be healed with advanced terraforming technology. The blue oceans and green continents that humans remembered would return someday. Tony Blake supervised the dismantling of the great engine that the Kethver had been building in the center of their territory? The massive device was designed to control space itself and could have made the aliens truly invincible if completed. Alliance engineers studied the technology but decided it was too dangerous to use. General Cross established the new Galactic government on Haven asteroid, which had sheltered humanity during their darkest years. The simple meeting rooms where desperate refugees had planned survival strategies became the halls where representatives from hundreds of species worked together to create a better future. The memorial service for Earth's 6 billion dead was attended by beings from across the galaxy. Each species had lost countless members to Kethver aggression, and they honored all the victims together. The ceremony showed that tragedy could unite different civilizations in ways that peace alone never could. Amy Walsh retired from military service and became an explorer again. She led expeditions to distant star systems where new species might be discovered and invited to join the galactic community. The Alliance fleet that had won the war now carried diplomats and scientists instead of weapons and soldiers. Dr. Ross continued her research but focused on healing instead of destruction. Her bioweapons had ended the war, but now she worked to cure diseases and extend life. The knowledge gained from studying alien technology was used to benefit all species rather than to create more efficient ways of killing. The galaxy was free, but the price of freedom had been enormous. Entire species had been extinct. Worlds had been destroyed. Billions of individuals had suffered and died under Kethver rule. The survivors were determined to ensure that such horrors never happened again. Jake Morrison stood in the ruins of New York watching construction robots clear away the debris of the old city. New buildings were rising that combined human architecture with alien technologies and artistic styles. The city would be different than before, but it would be alive again with the laughter of children and the hopes of families. The memorial inscription was placed in the center of the new city where everyone could see it. The words were simple, but they captured the meaning of humanity's long struggle. They took everything. We gave everything back to the galaxy. The Kethver had tried to destroy hope, but instead they had created the force that would remake the stars.